This canal branch was built to serve industry around Worsbrough, but it didn't last. Within a few decades it was already failing, and by the early 1900s it was completely abandoned. And the reason why lies beneath our feet. Today, like much of the Dearne Dove Canal, almost nothing remains. So this is Worsbrough. We left you last time. We was at the top of the Stairfoot flight, 8-lock flight that carried the canal up to the junction with this arm, the Worsbrough Branch. Here we are, we're at the end of the Worsbrough arm, we're in the Worsbrough basin, but we'll start at the other end. We'll take you right back to, I suppose, the outskirts of Wombwell. Back to the junction with the canal. That's the cutting there of the Worsbrough Branch, looking back towards the junction. There wasn't a bridge here, was there, John?
Oh, good question.
I can't remember seeing a bridge on the maps.
No, I don't think there was.
At this location, it's just been bundled up now. By the late 19th century, this canal was already in trouble. There's a lot of heavy mining in and around the canal, under the canal, that caused a lot of ground movement. The canal became uneconomical to maintain, and eventually it just wasn't worth repairing. We can see there there's water in this section of the canal, look, just up the top end. But that brings us nicely onto this canal. When it closed in 1906, it found a new purpose.
Yeah, water supply.
Yeah, because what's at the top of the Worsbrough Branch?
A reservoir.
And that was one of two reservoirs, the other on the Elsica branch that we saw, that kept this canal fed with water. So hang on, John, you're saying 1904?
Well, I had read that it closed in 1904, but, you know, these things are always approximate, I think.
So we just agree on early 1900s?
I think, yeah, before 1910 it closed. Oh.
Okay, so the cutting, we've just seen a little section of the cutting there, look. That bit in water.
That's really cool.
Just there. But yeah, this little section here has been infilled, look.
Yeah, it's an infill section.
This is a really, really interesting section, this, John. This is an area that we've done previously when we covered the railway from from Worsbrough, and we walked down the railway, but with also, I remember you, when I specifically remember you discussing this, where we looked from Viaduct.
We're Swathe Viaduct.
Swathe Viaduct.
Swathe. And we were trying to work out, you know, well, I was, you know, saying, oh, this is an old canal, and then we were trying to look at the course of it, and it's this greenway, basically, that's been filled in. You
can see the route clear as day.
Yeah.
But it's everything else that you commented on. The fact that there was the Swathe main colliery and everything around here, and we looked across the green...
Yeah, the plain down there.
Pleasant land, and
there's nothing left.
Who would guess that this was a colliery over here? And all this land, the industry. I don't know if this is true, but I did see some mention somewhere, John. All this was filled in as a rubbish tip as well.
I read that as well. Yes.
So you can see this greenway that we're walking on here. Look, between the hedge and then the little banking on that side. Was the canal this wide?
Wow, I don't think the canal would have been this wide.
The land of the canal.
The land, perhaps, of the towpath. So all just down here, where this green field is, and down in that dip, that is Swathe main colliery. It's just completely gone, and now it's a serene scene. Is there any sign of a bridge whatsoever? Nothing.
So this was the site of Swathe Bridge?
This was the site of Swathe Bridge, and there's just literally nothing. All that remains is the fact you've got like a gate to indicate there's two fields separated.
There's Swathe Bridge. It's in the book. It's a wooden bridge, abutments.
With some substantial abutments that have just totally disappeared.
So that's been completely razed to the ground then, hasn't it, that? Unless something's buried, the abutments are buried.
We can't be that far from where this picture was taken. Perhaps that was taken from the bridge, I guess.
What you're looking at here, the viaduct.
To the viaduct.
Swathe Viaduct. Because the next thing that we're going to see is the railway bridge just passing over in front of us there. That's Swathe Viaduct. That's still an active railway there, and that's the line into Barnsley. That was a Midland Railway, I think it was, wasn't it, originally, back in the old days. And here is Swathe Viaduct, look. So you'll see the canal's passing through this span here, look. I think that span's been replaced at some point, John, hasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, you'd say that was a decent bridge for a railway to cross this old abandoned canal. But look at the size of this viaduct. The canal's only just one portion of this story. We have got the old Great Central line down there. We've got the Worsbrough Branch, the Worsbrough incline. That's the line heading off from, I put my railway hat on here, from like the Wharf direction over towards Penistone. Fascinating railway line, that, of which we have done a series,
yes,
John.
There's a great couple of videos on that and some really lovely features on that line.
Nice story behind that one, but we're not here to discuss that. But obviously it does play into things here. So we came here, didn't we? And I remember we were stood at the other side of this bridge. Let me get over the stile here. And we weren't sure back then which span the canal.
Yeah, we were pondering.
Because there's another span, a little...
Well, that was it. We were like, that would make more sense. That would be more normal canal size span. But as it turns out, pictures have proven that the canal did come through this massive span here.
We do lose the route of the canal for a bit now. Rather frustratingly, you can see the shelf running along here, but it's not very accessible. It's very, very uneven ground down there. A lot of stuff being tipped down the side of this hill. But we'll go down to the bottom because there's some interesting things just to show you down underneath here. So underneath Swathe Viaduct now, you can see just above us there, we're walking on the railway line. The canal is just up there. We've just been on top, just there. There's the arch, look at the end, or the span, should I say, not the arch, where it's come through there. And as we come down here, the canal runs very close to the railway. Now you've got to realise, just remind yourself here, the canal came quite a bit before the railway.
Yeah.
I can't remember the date the railway arrived, mid-1800s. The date's going on the screen now. When they put the railway in, it looks like they've had to eat into the canal embankment. Look, so imagine the canal's up there just on a shelf and they've had to eat into the embankment and they've put this retaining wall up, look, with these...
Almost like flying buttresses.
But look, all the way along here, they just go for so long. Like I say, the canal's only just up there.
Well, that's what intrigued us last time. I was like, why? What is this for? And then we realised after a little bit of research,
When you realise what they're holding up.
They just get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, look at the crack. I mean, we keep... I mean, look, in fact, it's on every one, John.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just...
bursting out in between each buttress.
Highlighting the whole story of this, the Worsbrough branch of this canal. Is it closed due to the instability. It was just literally giving into the ground below it.
Well, that's it. I think the thing that hastened the closure was they sort of wanted to open up to do more mining beneath it, and they were like, well, go, it's not going to be viable, so go ahead, fill your boots. And then that was
uneconomical to repair. And obviously the railway came, and all the collieries that this canal arm served, where it was pulling the coals out, or from, got so many collieries, too many to mention. The railway did that job, better than the canal ever could by that point anyway. We mentioned that this canal found a new use as a feeder for the rest of the Dearne Dove Canal that was still open. You'd guess that they would live on in some kind of drain or something like that, possibly, that was already there, but so much of it has been infilled, look. So I think I can see a depression in that field, John.
You reckon that's it?
It's probably hard to show on camera from this distance. So it is a depression we could see. You could see a little bit more definition, look, of a ledge or a depression in this field, look. So it's come just across us here. We've actually got some remains of the bridge here. The canal went underneath this road. It's looks like it was a wooden deck again, wasn't it, John?
It was, yeah, with stone.
Well, that's got to be the approach to the bridge, hasn't it?
I think so, definitely. In fact, almost, is that part of the bridge still there? The wooden structure? Kind of looks sort of similar.
Yeah.
It doesn't look old enough though in some respects.
Railings, no. And around this side as well, we've got the exact same thing here, look. There's the wall on this side.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Some nice remains of this bridge. Only on one side of the road, though. I'm not seeing anything at the other side. And then the canal is it's private property now through the next section, isn't it? Got the picture of it there. So that's that.
Corner of it there.
The end of the wall, yeah. That's a bonus. I really didn't know there was a remain of that bridge, John.
Yeah, no, lovely to see. Just those little bits of fragments that bring it more to life than just an empty field.
That's it. And then if we just show you back, look, I mean, there's nothing on that side of the bridge, but it's heading straight across there, just into the trees over there. There's a large portions of this abandoned section of canal you can't really access. It's either private property or it's just inhospitable to people on two legs, John.
Indeed, yes.
You can use it's the old railway line, the Transpennine Trail, isn't it, this? Which runs pretty much follows the same route of it, and it intersects it in a few places, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's how we got into it.
It's a lot of masonry there, John. Is the canal right by the side of it?
Well, I think it comes in quite close at one point to the railway line, so quite possibly.
It is still above us here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's higher up, yeah.
And this, if I'm remembering rightly, this railway line does climb. That's the whole one of the features of this line. And where we're below the canal here, in a short distance, the railway actually goes over the canal.
Totally.
There's no locks.
Yeah. There's no locks at all.
But this is Goose Hulls Bridge.
Indeed, it is.
That's a funny name. What is that? What's with the name?
Yeah, well, Goose Hull.
Goose Hulls.
Goose Hulls. I have no idea where that came from.
Does anybody know what the story is there? Well, look, this is the bridge. This is looking over the canal here. And a pub there, Boatman's Rest. This was a beautiful arch bridge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely, that. Look at that. That's looking from behind us, basically.
Which is a little bit of a huge contrast to. I mean, yeah, you can see the crest in the wall now, but there's only one side of this
Bridge left, bridge
remaining, and it's a little bit of a sorry tale either side, really. Nothing to suggest there was ever a canal here, really. Just wasteland, just scrubland, and then a pub car park over there. And we've got this bush now that borders the bridge anyway, so we can't even see where it had been filled, but the canal would have run straight through this car park there and straight through the Boatman's Rest function room. Now we can see, we've just been having this discussion when we were driving up, John. Was this pub an actual pub when the canal was in use?
It's a good question. I'm just looking at that now, but it doesn't appear it was, at least in the
building is on the maps. There is a block.
There's a block there
on the footprint of the building, and the pub is an old building, but it's not annotated as a pub. So I really don't know. And just to clear all that mystery, we've just poked our head in the pub. 1860, was it 1860 it said, wasn't it?
Something like that,
opened, yeah. So we're guessing that's always been a pub.
The Boatman's Rest. Probably sold quite a lot of ale, no doubt.
Yeah, what was on the maps? Gasometer. So there was some.
Yeah.
There was workings around the canal at this stage. So it could have been all the trade from there.
Quite possibly, yeah. Cool.
So we're on the final drag now then, in towards Worsbrough, and there was a section here where the canal crossed underneath this railway line, wasn't there? And if I remember rightly, not
much left.
Yeah, it's a bit underwhelming. So this is all new since we were last here. Look, all this development going on. So that's building right on the line of the canal there. Well, this is it, John. This is the remaining part of the Worsbrough Branch. The
Dearne Dove Canal. Though. I think
this bit here, if I remember rightly, can you see this bit here? There was
indentation. Yeah.
There was a lot of. If you look, there was a railway here, and there was a turntable. Obviously, some transshipping going on as well. Railway ran alongside here. We also had a line going up there. I think it was an incline on the map.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, we had collieries around here, and Barrow collieries listed on the maps up the hill there. So this is all what brought the canal to Worsbrough. Lots of parallels to the Elsica branch, John. With the parallel railway that was kind of was a big part of its downfall. Similar
subsidence issues.
Yeah.
and just generally just overtaken, and bits of it back in water, but not a lot.
Yeah, not the most. I mean, we've just been saying we commit to doing these series, and there's interesting stuff to see, but there's a lot of hard miles, isn't there? There's
I'm tired now.
There's a lot of nothingness to wade through.
We're trying to trace, like, where does the next section start that you can actually get access to.
The easy thing, John, would be to pick your points and rock up in a car, film it, move on somewhere else. But we pretty much walk the entire distance so far from Swinton. So
absolutely,
we've seen it all. We've not missed
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes. So that is Journey's End for our Worsbrough arm. Just literally comes to this basin here.
It's like a dead end.
Yeah.
All finished.
Really not a lot to see really. But obviously, like I say, just over there, and we can see from the drone shots in the distance, Worsbrough Res.
Yeah, the reservoir. Colliery, lime kilns, glassworks, steel, wood, chemicals, gas, more coke, sawmill. Yeah, there's so much along this line. Yeah, we produced a lot of stuff in this area.
So let me ask you a question, John. So all these red dots on here, sites of industrial activity, we've walked along this entire corridor today. How many of those have we seen today?
Well, in terms of what's left, like nothing almost.
Nothing's functioning anymore, is it? And very little remains.
Any of it is there.
One more thing to show you in Worsbrough Canal related, and this is the old, was it Wharf Inn?
The Wharf Inn. I fancy a drink, but no can do.
That ship has long since sailed, John, pardon the pun. Very sorry state of the building now, but this, I don't know the date this pub opened, we'll try and find out, but one of the few remaining bits of canal history.
Well, often you find the pubs are the things that remain, but in this case, no.
We've walked the full length of the Worsbrough Branch today, from the junction near Wombwell all the way up to the basin, and for much of that journey you're relying on instinct, old maps and the shape of the land to tell you where the canal once ran. But even though the canal itself has gone, the story hasn't. It's still here, written into the landscape. And don't forget, the legacy of this old canal branch lived on as a feeder for many years after the canal closed. If you've enjoyed this video, have a look at some of our other Dearne Dove Canal episodes. We've been searching for remains right from the start near Swinton. And thanks to all my channel members for supporting me. Please give the video a thumbs up, leave me a comment and subscribe if you already haven't. So cheers for watching another video. We'll see you next time, where we're going to be following the Dearne Dove Canal through Stairfoot.